The final 10 seconds before you pull your hand away can shape the next 10 years of your dog's trust. In that tiny window, most dog owners accidentally turn an ordinary hand lick into a boundary fight that teaches the wrong lesson. You feel warm tongue on your fingers. Then you get a sudden freeze and a head turn. You think you are being polite by pulling away, but your dog does not understand polite. Your dog understands cause and effect. The golden rule of interpretation is this: behavior is a chain, not a single event. Seconds before you react, your dog must be responding to something you did, or something you missed. You can run a 3-part checklist in real time. You track what happened right before the lick, like approach, petting, food smell, or stress. You note what happened at the exact stop, like you moved, you spoke, you stiffened, or your dog noticed something. You watch what happened immediately after, like you rewarded, you scolded, or you withdrew. Board-certified veterinary behaviorists emphasize that dogs learn from immediate consequences, because timing is the language of reinforcement. You can prove it with a simple hypothetical. You get 2 identical licks, but one ends with you leaning closer, and the other ends with you relaxing and pausing. By the time you repeat that pattern, you teach 2 opposite rules. Once you can read the chain, you can sort the 9 meanings into trust signals versus boundary signals. You can hack this system by sorting the lick then stop into 2 buckets: trust and affiliation, or boundaries and overload. You stop guessing because you start looking for cues and triggers. You start with trust signals. Point 1. You see social grooming when your dog licks to maintain contact, then stops when the job feels complete. You notice soft eyes and a loose mouth, and you usually triggered it with calm petting. Point 2. You see information gathering when your dog samples taste and scent, then stops once the data is collected. You notice quick, light licks, and you usually triggered it with lotion, sweat, or food residue. Point 3. You see a calm-seeking ritual when licking lowers arousal, then stops when your dog self-regulates. You notice a slow exhale and a softer body, and you usually triggered it after excitement. Point 4. You see deference and conflict avoidance when licking is a soft signal, then stopping happens when you stiffen or loom. You notice a head turn and a slightly lowered posture, and you usually triggered it with leaning over. Now you shift to boundary signals. Point 5. You see a consent check when your dog licks, pauses, and watches you. You notice stillness and a quick glance up, and you usually triggered it by reaching in without an invitation. Point 6. You see overstimulation when licking escalates, then your dog abruptly stops to reset. You notice faster breathing and twitchy movement, and you usually triggered it with intense touch. Point 7. You see resource expectation when licking becomes a learned please, then stopping happens when no payoff arrives. You notice your dog staring at your hand, and you usually triggered it by treating after licks in the past. Point 8. You see stress displacement when licking appears during uncertainty, then stops when the stressor changes. You notice scanning and a tight face, and you usually triggered it with noise or a new person. Point 9. You see pain or discomfort when licking starts as appeasement, then stops when touch hits a sore spot. You notice a flinch or weight shift, and you usually triggered it by brushing a sensitive area. Guidance on calming signals and consent-based handling teaches that pauses and head turns can be communication, not stubbornness. You can picture 2 dogs licking the same hand. You see one relax with soft eyes, and you see the other hold breath and scan the room. You get the same action, but you get a different meaning. Now that you know what it can mean, you need a decision rule for what to do in the moment. Seconds before you move your hand, your dog must know what that movement means. You think the lick is the message, but the stop is often the message. The golden rule of handling is this: when licking stops, you pause too. You do not chase the tongue, and you do not punish the pause. You use a freeze and breathe micro routine. You stop petting, you soften your posture, you keep your hand still, or you withdraw slowly without snapping away. Then you wait for a clear re-engagement signal, like a lean in, a relaxed body, or a gentle nudge, before you continue. You think continuing to pet proves love, but your dog reads it as ignoring a boundary. You can treat it like someone tapping your shoulder to see if you are listening. If you keep talking louder, you fail the test. Behavior science separates punishment from negative punishment, where you calmly remove attention instead of adding threat. Trainers who focus on reinforcement timing lean on this because calm pauses stay predictable. You can test it with a hypothetical. You add a sharp correction after a neutral pause, and you turn communication into danger. You add a quiet pause instead, and you teach your dog that signals work. Once your timing is clean, you can fix the two most common owner mistakes that create the lick then stop pattern. You can summarize the problem like this. You create distrust when your hands become confusing. You fix it when your hands become predictable. Mistake 1 is yanking your hand away fast, then immediately re-offering it. You think you are giving space, but your dog does not experience it as space. Your dog experiences sudden motion, then a re-approach, which can feel like a fake out that trains vigilance. To fix that, you withdraw slowly, then you wait and let your dog choose to re-initiate contact. Mistake 2 is rewarding the wrong slice of behavior. You treat or praise right after your dog stops and stiffens, or you scold right after your dog pauses politely. To fix that, you reward calm re-engagement, not the tense pause. And if you need to stop interaction, you stop quietly and consistently. You can use a simple boundary routine in your body language. You pause. You wait. You redirect to an easy cue like sit or touch only if your dog is relaxed. Then you reward. You can hack this system by making boundaries boring, because boring is safe. Credentialed behavior guidance on consent tests and handling sensitivity emphasizes that predictability reduces anxiety. By the time you start guessing, your dog has already learned a rule. Your dog learns either humans listen, or humans push. If you apply the fixes and the pattern still looks off, you need to screen for stress and discomfort, not just training. You can follow a simple plan. You track 3 days of context notes, like time, location, who approached, and what touch happened. You switch to consent-based petting. You pet for 2 seconds, you stop, and you observe re-engagement. You reinforce calm choices with low-key rewards. You reduce intensity triggers like tight hugs, face-to-face leaning, and fast hand movements. You add enrichment to lower baseline stress. You watch for red flags that shift this from training to health and safety. You take sudden new stopping paired with flinching, growling, hiding, tense lip licking, or touch sensitivity seriously. You schedule a veterinary check for pain, and you contact a qualified behavior professional if anxiety or aggression risk is escalating. Veterinary guidance warns that behavior changes can be pain-related, and early intervention improves outcomes. You think you are fixing manners, but your dog may be protecting a sore joint or a stressed nervous system. You are not trying to stop licking. You are teaching a clear, safe conversation about contact. If this changed the way you view hand licking, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. We don't do generic advice here. We translate dog behavior into clear, repeatable routines that build trust without guessing. Let me know in the comments, when your dog stops licking, what happens right before it, touch, movement, or a new distraction. Until next time, stay calm and stay consistent.